Hi, Alex here from Rebeloper.com and welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the second part of the how to create your very own CocoaPods library tutorial series. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. So we have left off by starting to taking a look at the podspec file. So let's move forward and let's take a look at this podspec file and edit it. So as you can see, here are some comments, so these will be ignored, and the spec is called this S, so S name, S version, and let's take a look at what we have to change here. So first of all, we have to change the summary, a short description of the scroll view. So let me just add in here, the scroll view is UI scroll view in one line of code. Okay, here we need to add a description, a long description of the pod here. So let's add a longer description here. So let's add those two there, and let's see. Okay, homepage, that is okay. We have our GitHub repository homepage here. Screenshots, you may add any screenshot if you want to. This will be available on the CocoaPods when they search for it. So the CocoaPods library. License, MIT is okay. Author, Rebeloper, you may change your email if you wanted to here, but yeah, just leave it as is. Source, again, fine. Social media URL, yeah, I will add my social media URL. I will add the YouTube channel here. So let's see. Let me just copy and paste this from the DocUI. And I will copy and paste all of these remaining because, yeah, I want to explain them. So let's see here. I believe we need to get rid of this one too. Yes. So let's select all of these and hit Control I. It doesn't really matter. So let's add these tabs here. Great. So what this does is set the social media URL to our YouTube channel, iOS deployment target 12.0, and the source files is source dash, and these say basically that everything included in the source folder. Swift version 5, platform iOS 12. Okay, and one thing that I would like to show you and I will add here is the dependency, because well, you might have some dependencies. So let me just copy this out and I will add the dependency for tiny constraints. Okay, so let's go here and let's add our dependency of tiny constraints. Okay, and I will limit it to version 4.0.0. Okay, 4.0.0. There we go. Yeah, and that is it. So we have our podspec ready. So let's take a look at what else do we need to do. First of all, let's take a look at the file. Yeah, we first need to register our email, but before we do that, we can safely save all of these changes. So let's commit and let's see. Version 0.1.0. Okay, and let's commit these files. And let me just double check if it went through. Let's refresh here. And there we go, version 0.1.0. Okay, Now, next up, let's go back to terminal and let's register our email so we can push our podspec file to trunk. So basically what we have, let me just go back here. So this is our podspec file. Now we have saved this to our GitHub repository, but this needs to be saved on trunk too. So we are going to push it up to trunk like so. So first of all, just go to this. First of all, we need to register our email so we know that we are pushing this up, and then we need to lint it. So basically check for errors, and if everything goes well, then we can push our podspec file up to trunk, and then it will be available to the world via CocoaPods. So basically what links CocoaPods to your GitHub repository is this podspec file. So this is pushed to trunk too. Okay, let's first of all register our email, and I believe I have already done this, but maybe I should do this just for you to see. Let me just copy and paste this, just so you know what you need to do here. So there we go. Oh yeah, and it's not odd, you need to type in pod trunk register. So let me just add that p there and hit return. And yeah, please verify the session by clicking the link in the verification email that has been sent to your emails. There we go. We have a no reply from cocoapods.org, and we just need to click on this link. Now, this needs to be done only once. If you don't know if you have already done it or not, then just go ahead and do this step. Okay, now that we are done, we can lint our podspec. So let's go back to our terminal and type in pod lint. And if you start typing in your podspec file name like D scroll and hit tab, it should. Oh, we first need to go into our library. So type in cd and the space, and then just drag and drop your root folder. So there we go, under pod, D scroll view, there we go. Just drag and drop it there. So this pod trunk register can be done anywhere, but pod lint needs to be done on the root folder of your project because it needs to find this podspec file. Okay, so pod lint, and if you type the scroll and hit tab, it will find it, and podspec, hit tab again, and then hit return. And I believe we are done. Oh, it's pod lib lint, sorry about that. So pod lib lint, and while we are here, I will show you another trick. You don't really need to type out the podspec file because there is only one in there, so it will find it, and yeah, it will lint it. Now let's see if this is linted correctly. There we go, the scroll view passed validation. And finally, we need to push it. But before we do that, we need to create a new release. So let's go back to our browser here, and you can see that there are 0 releases at the moment. And make sure that you have committed all your changes, because we are going to create a release from the current master. So let's tap on release here, or rather yet click, select releases, and let's create a new release. And this release will have the tag version that you have specified in your podspec file, and that is up here 0.1.0. Let's copy that out and paste that in there. And let's see, the scroll view. Okay, just add in some title, maybe add a description. It doesn't really matter, but it's useful for other developers to know what you have changed in this release. And click on publish a release here. And you can see that the latest release is this one. Now, this is released on GitHub, but you still need to push your pod file to trunk. So let's go back to terminal and type in pod trunk push. And you can also see what you have to type in here. So pod trunk push. Of course, you can type in your podspec file, but it will find it for you. So find podspec dscrollview.podspec. So let's wait for that, and yeah, it will be available for all to see. So there you go. This scroll view successfully published. Okay, now you can basically install this CocoaPod on any project that you want. But before we do that, let me just show you how you can use this dependency of tiny constraints in your example project. Because in the example project, let's just go here, and you can see here we have our pods, and let's see, in a pod file we don't have tiny constraints added, so let's do that. So pod tiny constraints, and let me just copy out the limiting version number. And what we need to do is now pod install this, of course, tiny constraints, and of course this scroll view from the path. Now this means that it's on your own computer. Let me just go to our root folder here. So here we have our example. So let's open up terminal here, cd and the space. Let's drag and drop this and hit return and type in pod install. Now this will install tiny constraints and of course the scroll view. And yeah, you might want to change the version to iOS 12, and for that you just need to basically, let me just copy this, platform iOS 12. Okay, and let's go back to our pod file here. There we go, and let's just run another pod install so we get rid of this error. It's just a warning, but it's better to get rid of it. Now in the view controller we can use to add this label. So label, maybe we need to import tiny constraints here. Constraints, there we go. And let's hit Command B so we can get this auto completion. So again, tiny constraints, that should take care of it. And label, and let's see, center. For some reason it cannot recognize it. Let's hit Command B here. Sometimes Xcode is so buggy, so let's close this off altogether. Maybe close or quit Xcode, and then just open it up again. Let's see if tiny constraints is recognized. Let's hit Command B. Yeah, build has succeeded, and now I can add our label some constraints, like let's see, center in super view. That is okay. And now let's hit Command B or just the play button up here so we can see this label in the center of our scroll view element 1, and that is this one. Okay, so that is how you can add the dependencies. Now let's just move forward, and now that our CocoaPods is ready to use, let's create a brand new project. So file, new project, and let's have the single view application. Click on next, and let's see, and let's click on next, and let's drop to this testing, Rather, let's go here and create a new folder. Create it. I don't need a Git repository because I won't upload it to my Git account, GitHub account. And yeah, let's just close this and let's import our pod the usual way. So what we need to do here is go to our root folder. So testing, testing, sorry about that, testing my CocoaPod. And now let's open up our terminal here and cd and the space, drag and drop the root folder, hit return, pod init to create our pod file, and just drag and drop the pod file there. And platform should be iOS 12. And let's import our pod, and that is the scroll view. Okay, that should be it. Let's close this and let's go back to our terminal and type in pod install, and that should install the scroll view version 0.10 and of course tiny constraints. And I believe there is a new version here for tiny constraints. That is okay. Let's just see what happens here. We have our workspace. So from now on, let's open this up. And if we go to our root view controller, and let me just copy some code here from the example project. And this should work. Okay, let's see here. Let's copy this out, paste that in there, and we need to import some frameworks too, like the scroll view and tiny constraints. That is all you need to do to use this pod. And now let us just see if this will build and succeed. And indeed it will. Let's see. Let's build and run, and hopefully we will see I am a label there. Build has succeeded. As you can see, here we have our scroll view with an I am a label. Awesome. Now, what do you do when you want to update your pod? Because yeah, you have written this, but maybe you want to change something. So that is what we are going to do now. So let's go. Let me just close this. And here, let's see, what do I want to change? Maybe I want to add some variadic variables. So let's go to our scroll view container, I believe. Here we are, add scroll view with safe area, as status bar cover, status bar background, container and elements. And as you can see, the elements is an array of UI views. Now I want to change this, and I will change it to be to have variadic parameters. So add in here just these 3 dots. And if we hit Command V, we will see some errors because now we are not allowed to have this as an array, but as a simple list of elements. Hit Command B so we can see this. And it's awesome. So yeah, just removing those 2 parentheses, it looks much cleaner and cooler. Now that we do have that, we want to update our pods. So first thing, you need to commit all of these files. So let's see, added variadic variables. Okay, I will talk about variadic variables and how they can be achieved really easily in your projects in a later video. So let's push this all to our master. Let's commit it. And let's just double check if all of this worked. Okay, added variadic variables, great. And now we want this to be available for the public. So first of all, let's bump up the version of our pod spec. So let's see, let's go to our scroll view pod spec, go all the way up, and let's see, this is just a minor modification, so I'm just going to add 0.1.1. Let's commit this. So let's select our scroll view pod spec and bumped to 0.1.1. Let's push to remote. And now we are ready to lint our pod spec. So let's CD there. So there we go. Let's CD to our pod, the scroll view. There we go. And pod lib lint is what you want to type in. And we see that is linting version number 011. There we go. The validation passed. And let's see, next up we want to push. Yep, that is basically it. No, before we push, we want to create a release. So yeah, we need to jump in between these two. So let's draft a new release. Tag version 011, and let's see, and let's publish this release. And once it is published, we can now push to our trunk. So pod trunk push. There we go. And now it is updating, and once this is ready, we will be able to update our pods in the example project or the testing project. So let's just wait for this. Okay, this scroll view 0.1.1 is published. Okay, now what we want to do is navigate to our testing project. So there, this is the root folder. CD and a space, as usual, drag and drop it, hit return. And what you want to type in here now is pod update. Okay, because we want to update all of the repositories. Okay, and as you can see, it installed the scroll view version 0.1.1, and it was 0.1.0. That is a good thing. Now let's take a look at our project, and let's just hit Command B because now this should fail. And let's delete these parentheses and hit Command B again, and this should succeed. And indeed it did succeed. Let's build and run to see this working. Oh, good thing that I did build and run. It will crash at some point, and what you need to do is clean your build folder, clean build folder. There we go. And now let's hit Command R or build and run our app. Okay, and now this should build and run correctly. There we go. Awesome stuff. Now there are some things that you could do even further, but I won't go into details into that because it's pretty simple. You could change the README file, and of course you could add some images to it. By the way, you could just simply add these images into here. So let me just do that real quick here. So let's grab an image, and I will just go. So let me just grab an image here, and I will use the DocUI image. It doesn't really matter. Let's see here. Where is DocUI? Come on, there we go. Resources, assets, and I will just simply drag and drop it here. And let me just create a new version of this pod. So let's commit this, added icon. There we go. Push to remote. Let's commit these 3 files. Okay, and now we want to go to our browser, and let's take a look at where this file is. So it's under this scroll view. I believe it's in example because that's where it added icon. This scroll view, images, assets, and here we go. Here we have our icon image asset. and let's see, tap on that icon. Now we do have this URL, so what we want to do is just grab this simple URL, and I believe it's in the other project with .ui. This scroll view, where is it? It's with .ui, okay. Let me just open that up. So what you want to add in here is this one. So I will add my podspec file so you can copy and paste all of these into your very own project. And now if we go back to our README file here, we want to add this HTML code snippet, and we want to replace the link with this one that we have added to our CocoaPods, to our GitHub repository. So there we go. And now let's hit commit and added icon to README. Okay, let's commit this one file. Okay, and let's refresh. So let's go back to this scroll view, and now you should be able to see your very own icon image there. So yeah, there you go. You have images in your README description too. And basically that is it. That's what you want to do. Maybe change the license, but I don't recommend that. MIT is best for everyone. And yeah, that is all to have your very own CocoaPods available to the world. I hope you enjoyed this video and the previous one, of course. And if you did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell to get notified. Now it is your turn. Go ahead and create your very own CocoaPods, and do let me know with a link down below in the comments what you did, so I can take a look at it, and maybe the world will take a look at it and use it in their project. So that is it for me today. I will see you in the next one.